You're listening to a podcast by the Perennial Leader Project. Welcome back to Dying Every Day, Stoicism in a Year. This is day 107. We dedicate much of our lives to postponing the unavoidable. But what if the end is not a disaster, but rather a homecoming? Seneca believed this to be true. In a letter to his friend Lucilius, he offered this advice, quote, "Fools that we are, we believe this bourne to be a dangerous reef, but it is the harbor where we must someday put in. For some sailors are tricked and held back by sluggish winds, while others are carried quickly home by steady gales. Life has carried some men with the greatest rapidity to the harbor, while others it has fretted and harassed. For mere living is not a good, but living well. The wise man will live as long as he ought, not as long as he can." Close quote. And this passage is adapted from On the Proper Time to Slip the Cable. Seneca is trying to shift our perspective. We often see death as a disaster to escape from, but he describes it as a harbor, a destination every person must eventually reach. Some arrive early, some come late, but the key is not how soon, but how well the journey is made. What matters, Seneca says, is not living, but living well. This idea is at the heart of the Stoic way of life. A long, aimless life isn't an accomplishment. A short life filled with courage, temperance, wisdom, and justice is enough. In fact, it might be more than enough. Clinging blindly to life just because it continues isn't wisdom. The wise man will live as long as he ought, Seneca writes, not as long as he can. That's a radical idea, especially in a culture obsessed with prolonging life at all costs. But Stoicism asks a more important question. Is the life you're living truly worthy of your days? This isn't a call to give up, it's an invitation to wake up and start living an intentional life. Again, the question isn't how can I avoid death, but rather, what kind of life is worth living? As the American philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson once wrote, quote, "It is not the length of life, but the depth." Close quote. If we keep that in mind, focusing on attention, virtue, and character, we can face the end peacefully rather than fearfully. We won't crash into the reef. Instead, we will arrive gently at the harbor. As a daily exercise, I invite you to consider reflecting or journaling about your perspective on the end of life. You might ask yourself, am I more concerned with the length of my life or its depth? Or you could ask, which parts of my life seem more about survival than living intentionally? Thank you for listening to Dying Every Day, Stoicism in a Year. I hope you found something useful for daily life. If you enjoy what we're doing here and want to support the project, consider becoming a Perennial Meditations member. And finally, as always, I urge you to put what you heard into practice. Until next time, be wise and be well.